I didn't think Twisted Fate was in an overpowered place. This just spoke to early season in Pro, where teams go back to what they know works. And last year, that was a lot of Twisted Fate mid. They're going to come back to Twisted Fate mid, even though it's only okay. This champion was not so strong. It did not need these nerfs. This champion is pretty gutted. I would avoid it in solo queue now. What's up, GIGA gamers? Welcome to the Strat Chat. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be going over a 12.3 rundown to see what changes lie in store for you. Alright, here's your patch highlights. Ahri's getting a mini rework. We'll do a video for that and put the link in the section below. Akshan's laning trade pattern is getting hit a little bit. The second shot, when you skip it, you got that speed boost. So normally the advanced trading technique was to go in, hit once, cancel the second one, and then go in, hit for the second, come back out. That way you get your shield, you come back out, you do that every 12 seconds, and you completely dominate. The changes for that, it's going down. The move speed is going down early, so you won't be able to get those off as reliably. And the 3-stack damage bonus is going down significantly, 10 per rank. Little known secret, Amumu completely countered Zeri, which was important because Zeri was completely busted, and I thought it would be okay to have a just like rocks, paper, scissors, one champion that completely nullifies another, but they're getting rid of it. Amumu's E tantrum was too good at blocking out Zeri's damage. They want Zeri to be a thing, so they're changing tantrum on Amumu so it can never be 100% efficient. This is a huge nerf. This is actually going to increase the amount of damage he takes in the jungle, and it's going to take away from his power against damage over time. Quality of life changes for Brand. You now get mana even if a unit was not ablaze when you killed it. Great, should have been that way always. And Pyroclasm will now, instead of trying to bounce back to you, it'll try to bounce around minions. Much better, so you can maybe clear a wave if you need to in a pinch, or just bounce it between a minion and a champion. Not a big change. Caitlyn's getting hit pretty hard. Her scaling AD is going down, and her damage, pass-through damage, is getting nerfed pretty hard. So the pass-through damage is getting nerfed by 10%. This is going to impact your ability to clear waves quickly in the early levels of laning phase. So expect to see a less dominant laning phase and also less scaling in the late game. Caitlyn's getting hit pretty hard. Huge changes to Corki. All right, we've done the video about perfect Herald play. I'll put the link in the description below, but essentially now Corki's first package no longer syncs with the Rift Herald spawn, so you now have to be much more careful about how you play for Rift Herald on your Corki teams. It used to be that Corki was a guaranteed Herald play, not anymore. The package is going to come at 10 minutes, and then every 5 minutes after that. Of course, it sits there for 3 minutes. It should make it a little bit easier to sync for the Dragon timer, but in reality, this is a huge nerf to Rift Herald. Corki's ability to take that objective is going way down. This is a fairly unnecessary change in my opinion. LeBlanc's W is getting nerfed by 5 per rank. This is going to affect her ability to wave clear in the late game. So after level 7, when you're looking to press W on that wave, it's now going to definitely require W and R to smash the waves down in the late game. Maybe we'll see Ultimate Hunter pop up on LeBlanc to make her be able to clear the waves without any issues. Lilia's sleep duration going up by half a second. This is a big buff, but your teammates aren't going to know how to use it. So it's basically going to be the same thing. But in Pro, this might make some changes. Lilia still has some other issues, but I do want to see some Demonic Embrace Lilia builds making it to the Pro scene. We'll see if this is the change that they needed to get there. Nami is getting a massive nerf. All right, so she's going to drop out of our #1 position for supports in the meta. They say that it's a slight buff and then a slight nerf, but in reality, the decay, the movement speed bonus that you're getting from her passive is getting doubled early, but then decaying over 1.5 seconds. Net amount of total speed gained, total distance traveled will be the same. Your initial burst will be slightly higher, but total distance gained is the same. So you can say, yes, it's a buff, you getting the speed earlier, but actually total net distance covered is the same. But she's losing 5 damage per hit on her Tide Colors Blessing. Since it hits 3 times, this is actually 15 damage happening across the board. This is a pretty big nerf, paired with what's not really that much of a buff at all. This is going to drop her down significantly, especially those annoying Lucian Nami lanes. I think that's probably good. Nami was way up on top. This is going to bring her back where she's still strong. She's going to be A tier champ. but this is a bigger nerf than people might realize. Quinn getting bonuses to heightened senses. The attack speed on her W when you proc it is going to go up by 8% at early ranks, even out to 60. And then her Sky Strike is actually gaining 30% AD. This is pretty huge, especially with the changes in the attack damage items that we're going to see later. Check out the video, we'll put it in the link below, about the AD mid Quinn assassin build. So check it out, let me know what you think. Last rundown, we discussed Senna being completely overpowered. The carry version of Senna is still strong. It's not going to stack as much on the mists. Now every 5 waves you're getting 1 stack as opposed to 4 or 5. This is a pretty big difference when it comes to stacking. You're not going to hit those thresholds, especially that first hit of 20 where you're getting the increase where you can start bullying your lane a little bit. You're not going to get that until much later. That said, this is still strong. She's still going to be pretty powerful. The 20% slow on her Q gave her so much utility. She's still going to be good. The best bot lane, in our opinion, is still Senna and Tahm Kench. Twisted Fate getting hit pretty hard. The 5 damage per level on the wild cards. This is going to impact his ability to clear waves. All right, this damage was very important. He was already teetering on the point where he needed to use minion dematerializer to keep up with the wave clear damage that you need to be able to pass through. All right, you could go red card for the melees and then Q through the whole wave, and as long as you used your three stacks of minion dematerializer wisely, then you could kill the whole wave. This number going down means that it's going to be much harder to kill all of them. You're probably going to have to be at least a blasting wad ahead to be able to get the same impact that you would at clearing the waves. Stack deck getting nerfed by 10% early. This is huge because this was Twisted Fate's level 1 spell. All right, a lot of people went with the cards. They didn't realize that the extra attack speed is actually really important for getting the push in level 1. Also lets you get a couple more hits under turret. Going down by 10% on the first rank is pretty significant. I didn't think Twisted Fate was in an overpowered place. This just spoke to early season in Pro, where teams go back to what they know works. And last year, that was a lot of Twisted Fate mid. They're going to come back to Twisted Fate mid, even though it's only okay. This champion was not so strong. It did not need these nerfs. This champion is pretty gutted. I would avoid it in solo queue now. Zeri. All right, we got to talk about Zeri. I don't think the people on the balance team understand what the power of Zeri is. Looking at the changes and what they changed, it's either that or they have a belligerent desire for this champion to be used and more builds to be discovered. It didn't take long for people to realize that Trinity Force, Runon's Hurricane, Titanic Hydra was the best build on her. And then once she started doing that, her win rate just skyrocketed up to 56%, which is absolutely astronomical for an opening release champion that people still haven't gotten that good at mastering. They still haven't figured out all the synergies. They haven't done anything. Way too high. So clearly she needed a nerf. What they ended up doing, they moved her move speed down by 5. This is going to give you slightly more windows to punish her in lane where she was super safe, but the biggest issue is that her Q deals more damage and outranges all the other abilities that champions have on their auto attacks in laning phase. So she has a completely unpunishable early level where she can be the one spamming. It's like she has Jinx Fishbones rockets on at all times, and Jinx has to pay a very serious price for that. She goes through her mana in 2 waves if she keeps the rockets on. Zeri does not have that issue. So we're going to see if 5 move speed helps at all at finding these catching opportunities for her. She is fairly frail. She does have a small hitbox window as well. She is harder to catch than some other champions. I don't think this is going to be enough, and it really doesn't speak to the strength of the build that she has. Now, they also went and increased the chain lightning damage that you deal with critical strikes. So what they're basically saying is, hey, we designed her as a marksman. We want you to try more marksman-like builds so she feels more like a marksman rather than speaking to the kit itself. They're trying to like pigeonhole her in a direction. We still think Essence Reaver is quite strong, right? Sheen is definitely the very best item that you can get on Zeri. You should still get Ingenious Hunter so you get that cooldown so that the Sheen procs faster and you can use it much more often. But all of the Sheen items are still going to be strong. So maybe with the Infinity Edge build, third with Essence Reaver, there's some chances for some shocking outplays and some like big play montages. But overall, this champion's still too strong. This didn't affect, the move speed is not enough to affect her absolute dominance in lane and the ridiculous amount of wave clear that her kit, the way that the Q is designed, will impact the late game. She just hits way too hard. The Runon's Titanic Hydra build just obliterates waves the way that Kled wishes he could do it, and she's doing it from range. So really they need to address the way that that spell is worked, but until then, she's going to be on the short list of bans for me. If you want to play her and you want to keep practicing her, she's obviously insanely powerful right now. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the Essence Reaver build. All right, items. There's big changes to items, especially in the top lane. Let's take a look. All right, first with the Mythics, we've got Divine Sunderer losing some HP, gaining some AD. Don't know why they did this, since this was already the niche that was supposed to be built into anti-tank. You wanted to have that extra health. I guess it was giving too much health to everybody, and different people were using it, especially like Ezreal was using it to too much safety. So they're taking some safety out of Divine Sunderer, giving it 5 AD. Overall, this is a nerf, but it's still one of the strongest items you can get, and one of the strongest rush items in the entire game. Gore Drinker, same thing, losing a Ruby Crystal worth of health, gaining a Longsword worth of damage. No big change. Trinity Force, gaining some health, losing some ability on the stacking ability to fight structures when you get into that successive hits onto, which normally only happen on structures, but some really long fights would allow you to get this as well. This is a pretty big hit to the split pushing ability of a champion like Yorick or Jax, but not enough to change it. The extra health is still going to make you safe. The biggest thing to make sure that you're checking on these items is that the build path now takes Caulfield's Warhammer, so make sure that you're grabbing that. And a quick reminder to any item that has 3 longswords in it, including a Caulfield's Warhammer, remember that if you have 1100 gold, buy the 3 longswords. It is mathematically better for your champion to have plus 30 AD and miss out on some ability haste than to only have a Caulfield Warhammer. All right, the legendary items. This is really where the big changes are. Death's Dance is insane. All right, this is probably the single best item, the single biggest change to the items in the top lane. It now mitigates all types of damage, not just physical damage. You also can now apply it to damage that hits into shields, whereas before that number did not get affected. You weren't hit, so it didn't do anything. I don't like this change at all. It doesn't make sense. The idea is store some of the damage that you're taking and with grit kind of punch through an adrenaline rush, punch through it. Now they're hitting your shield. You're still getting the benefits of it. So I do expect there to be some interesting iterations where some champions like Jarvan IV can take this with Shield Bash and with an enchanter like Janna on their team and basically become unkillable. I think this item's going to be too good. It's probably destined to get nerfed. Tried on a lot of things. We've had some discussions about even champions like Akali. The Bruiser Akali builds taking something like this because it looks too strong. The bonus AD, right, is going to stack much better, so it's stronger on your Fiora types, a little bit less strong on your Juggernaut type of Darius that might be building some more health items. Sterix Gauge, missing 50 AD, but gaining 40% of your base AD as bonus. So for reference, champions like Fiora have 120 at level 18. Maokai, same thing. Darius has 150. So your Juggernauts are going to be more in that 140, 150 range. They're going to be gaining 60 AD at level 18. All right. Whereas the Fioras and Maokais of the world, they're going to be gaining 48 at level 18. Now, that's all the way at full build. This item used to be a second item rush that gave you tons of extra health. No longer, right? The AD is scaling off of your base AD, which has not grown that high by that point, and also the passive is going off of your bonus health, which is also not that high. So Sterix Gauge, move it from second to fourth in your builds. Maw of Malmortius is getting an enormous buff as well. So Maw and Death's Dance really going ham on these. Attack damage up by 5, ability up by 5. The shield now scales off of your bonus attack damage, not off of your health. So this is going to be much, much, much more attractive for AD carries as a defensive item, but also all the champions, all the fighters in the top lane. 12% Omnivamp, still crazy. And the 12% Omnivamp is still crazy. When you proc this, make sure that you're aware of the proc going off and then getting into the fight. Remember, you can only have one lifeline passive, so you can't mix this with your Immortal Shield Bows or your Sterix Gauges. Blade of the Rune King is going up by 100 gold, but getting a 2% increase for melee and ranged to the target's current health. This results in a 20% increase for melee and a 33% increase for ranged. I do think that we're going to start seeing some Black Cleaver and Blade of the Rune King changes onto some of the marksmans like we used to see like Ashe, and I think Senna could use it as well, so keep an eye out. Black Cleaver losing 100 health and gaining 5 attack damage, gaining 5 ability haste. Nothing really to speak of, just a kind of change. Hydra getting buffed by 5. Alright, they don't know what to do with Turbo Chem Tank. They keep on changing this. For that reason, we're really unsure what to think. It's still going to be insanely good on carries. They're trying to move it more to tanking. This is going to affect junglers, especially a champion like Amumu that liked the engage speed, but also now the instances are going up per instance of damage taken. So if you have a taunt ability, that'll be very, very strong for champions. If you're in the jungle, it's just going to stack up quicker. This should affect the mid-game clear speed of champions that were going for it, especially in the jungle. But again, we're looking at those big cases of the big AoE taunts where you're going to get a proc for arriving. Maybe Galio likes this item now, right? You can get that, you can jump into the fight, grand entrance, and then you can chase down whoever gets away with Turbo Chem Tank, use your taunt, bring in, you're going to take more damage, you're moving around, you're probably going to get a second proc of the Chem Tank, and then maybe we get a large burst from there. So interesting to see what kind of builds come out from this. We're still unsure. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps the channel out a lot. I'll catch you guys next time. Keep it surreal. Peace.